bold interviews and election coverage set new standards in journalism. As an author, his books on politics and cricket offer deep insights, and he continues to shape the dynamics of Indian journalism.
Can we please maintain silence?
Rajdeep Sardesai, one of India's most well-known journalists, fearless, authentic and articulate. Born in 1965, son of cricketer Dilip Sardesai, Rajdeep studied law before diving into journalism. He started at the Times of India, then moved to TV with NDTV and became a household name. In 2005, he founded CNN-IBN. His bold interviews and election coverage set new standards in journalism. As an author, his books on politics and cricket offer deep insights, and he continues to shape the dynamics of Indian journalism. Rajdeep Sardesai.
Can we please have silence here? We have our guests right here.
Rajdeep Sardesai, one of India's most well-known journalists, fearless, authentic and articulate. Born in 1965, son of cricketer Dilip Sardesai, Rajdeep studied law before diving into journalism. He started at the Times of India, then moved to TV with NDTV and became a household name. In 2005,
can I request the audience to be seated?
His bold interviews and election coverage set new standards in journalism. As an author, his books on politics and cricket offer deep insights, and he continues to shape the dynamics of Indian journalism.
A very good afternoon to all. It is a very special afternoon indeed. It is an absolute honor and pleasure to welcome the eminent journalist and author, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai, to the Presidency University campus for an official book launch and reading session of his latest book, The Election That Surprised India. I also welcome Ms. Maya Sharma, a well-known TV journalist who will be moderating the reading session with Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai. I welcome our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. Nisar Ahmed. I welcome our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Vijayan Emmanuel, Pro-Vice Chancellors, Dr. Vidya Shetty and Dr. Samiruddin Khan, Registrar, Dr. Samina Noor Ahmed Panali, Mr. Iqbal Ahmed, Chairman of Little Flower School, all the key officials and the leadership team. I also welcome our friends from the press who have come all the way to cover this special event. And also, let me tell you all that we are going live on YouTube with this. So ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai. Before we move ahead, I would request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Vijayan Emmanuel, to address the gathering.
A very warm welcome to all here. Respected Chancellor, sir, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai, Ms. Maya Sharma, my colleagues and students here. It's indeed a privilege to have Rajdeep Sardesai amongst us. How many of you know he played cricket for University of Oxford? Anyone knows that? I'm sure you heard of Dilip Sardesai. I'm not talking about Dilip. I'm talking about Rajdeep. Right? Thank you for being here. That's a wonderful thing. As I welcome you all, there are just two lines I want to mention this to both Rajdeep and to Maya to put this in context. Beyond the event, we have great respect for you both and for Rajdeep because in Presidency University, we always say people make the institution, and in most of our conversations, the quality of that people is defined by competence in their domain and commitment to the cause of the domain. And Rajdeep, you have embodied that tremendous competence and commitment in the domain of journalism. So is Maya. So we are thrilled to have you here because you embody certain values very precious to Presidency, and we respect you for that. Thank you. Have a good evening with us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We now have an audio-visual glimpse of the impressive career of this journalist par excellence, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai. So, ladies and gentlemen, hold your breath. Let's have a quick glimpse of his career.
The highs and lows of this election campaign ended with an outpouring of emotion.
सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा क्या है आपके लिए?
सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा तो बेरोजगारी है।
बिजनेस कैसे चल रहा है? बड़ा है, कम हुआ है? बड़ा है। तो ये किसने करवाया? गांधी परिवार ने या नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने? D-Day has finally arrived. Exit poll time, all eyes will be on the big numbers.
How did the pollsters and the pundits get the 2024 election outcome so badly wrong? How did the Team Modi Shah dream of 400 par come unstuck? How did Rahul Gandhi and the Congress stage a bit of a comeback? The answers to these and many other questions in my new book, 2024, the election that surprised India.
Come out as the largest political party. That itself is a good indication that people do have a lot of faith in the leadership of the Prime Minister.
Put your hands together for Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai. Now we come to the moment we were waiting for. Let us welcome on stage Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai for the grand launch of his latest book, The Election That Surprised India. We will now have the unveiling of the book in our very own premise itself. May I request our Chancellor, Dr. Nisar Ahmed, also to come forward, and Ms. Maya Sharma also to do the honors. And Mr. Iqbal too, kindly join. This is a historic moment itself. I think we are very privileged to be witnessing this. May I now request our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. Nisar Ahmed, to felicitate our chief guest, the eminent senior journalist and author, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai. I also request Ms. Maya Sharma to also kindly be on stage. Round of applause, please, the audience. This is a moment of lifetime, please. This is such a spectacular moment for all of us. May I now request our Chancellor, Dr. Nisar Ahmed, to present a token of appreciation to our moderator, Ms. Maya Sharma. Thank you, Dr. Samina. Thank you, Dr. Vijayan. And thank you, Dr. Nisar Ahmed. I request you all to kindly take your seats. We shall now experience an interesting tete-a-tete with the man of the moment, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai. Of course, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai actually needs no introduction, but nonetheless, he's an award-winning senior journalist, author, and TV news presenter. Currently the consulting editor and lead news anchor of the India Today Group, he has over 3 decades of journalistic experience in print and television. He was the founder editor of the IBN 18 network and the managing editor of NDTV 24/7 and NDTV India. He has won more than 50 awards for journalistic excellence. Mr. Rajdeep's previous books on the Indian elections, 2014, The Election That Changed India, and 2019, How Modi Won India, had been national bestsellers. He's also the author of Democracy's 11, The Great Indian Cricket Story. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for, again, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai. I would also like to take the opportunity to welcome the moderator of the session, Ms. Maya Sharma. With over 35 years of experience in journalism, a Fulbright scholar, Ms. Maya Sharma's career began with Doordarshan, and she moved to NDTV, where she worked for 26 years as a reporter, anchor, and executive editor in the South Chapter, including heading the Bangalore Bureau. Ms. Sharma's focus has been political reporting, general elections, and also many significant assignments related to social justice. On the international front, she covered the inauguration of Nelson Mandela in 1994, the Asian Summit in Kuala Lumpur in 2005, Occupy Wall Street protests, and many, many significant assignments. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for Ms. Maya Sharma. Thank you. And now over to Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai and Ms. Maya Sharma for an extremely fruitful conversation, followed by, of course, a reading session. Thank you. Over to you.
Hello, everybody, and hello, Rajdeep, too. It's really, really nice to have this chance of having a conversation with you today.
Thank you very much. First of all, namaskara. Thank you very much for inviting me to your wonderful institute here at the Presidency University. So thank you very much, Dr. Nisar Ahmed, your entire team. There is something very special about Bengaluru, which is the warmth of the city. Your weather used to be cool, but the people were always warm. The weather has turned warm, the people are still warm. This is one of the warmest cities in India in terms of the way people greet you. So thank you very much for showing the traditional Kannadiga warmth and what makes this state so special. I genuinely mean that. And the only thing I cannot account for in Bangalore is the traffic. So I was told it is only 25 kilometers away, but I didn't know 25 kilometers is 2 hours. So I'm sorry for being late, but thank you very much. And to be here with Maya is special because we worked together for many years. And it is, as I said, something which in a way reflects what has been a very long journey in the media. I've been there for 35, 36 years, and so has Maya. So our combined total is about 70 years. But thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me here. And once again, I am amazed that you have, the Chancellor just told me you have 19,800 students and counting. That's fantastic. You should be all very proud and privileged to be part of this university. So thank you.
So when I last met you, Rajdeep, it was at the Bangalore Lit Fest. Rajdeep was on a sabbatical then, and he was enjoying it so much. He said, I don't even know whether I'll go back to work after the sabbatical. I think I may extend this indefinitely. No surprises there, surprises in the election, but no surprises, you're back. Right back at work, you couldn't stay away. You do so much. What I'm very curious to know is the motivation for these books. This is the third in your election trilogy. It's not for engagement, it's not for fame. You have all that. You have a platform. What makes you want to do this? Is it for a longer lasting thing, to say things you can't say on the box? What is your motivation?
That's a great question, Maya, and it's a question I thought I should share with a lot of young people here. You know, I was 12 years old when there was a famous election that took place in 1977, and Indira Gandhi was defeated in that election. And I was all of 12 years old. I was very excited about it. Don't ask me why a 12-year-old was excited about elections and politicians, but I was. And I went about telling everyone in my school, Indira Gandhi is defeated, Indira Gandhi is defeated. Many years later, when I got interested even more in elections, I tried to go and find books that were written on the 1977 election. And there were very few books. So it was almost as if the 1977 election was not there for the next generation to find out more about. Now I find that many of you get your news on Instagram, on YouTube, and today's news for many of you is tomorrow's history. What is today's story? Quickly you forget because you are on Snapchat, you're on Instagram, you're on YouTube, Facebook. So how is the next generation going to know what happened in these turbulent times that we live in? I think a book can do what TV shows cannot. On TV shows, there's a lot of noise. There's less news, more noise. I keep telling people you should watch TV news only if there is someone in your family with low blood pressure, you need to raise the blood pressure. Then you watch TV news. TV news is it's in the moment. How do I remember 10 years from now about a TV show? But maybe somebody in the Presidency University library will keep these books, and maybe another generation, someone is studying history, politics, whatever you're studying, you may want to know what happened between 2004 and 2024. So these three books, Maya, I think play that important role. Plus, you're right. I think a book is a very special personal experience. It's not very easy to go through it because it's you and your computer, and there's a certain loneliness. I used to write these books getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning, because the only time I find that there is no news, no one is sending you WhatsApps, no mobiles, there is no breaking news is at 5 a.m. in the morning. So if all of us actually in our lives can spend 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. productively, we lead good lives. That's the best time to do real work. Once we enter office, we've got mobiles, WhatsApps, Facebook, our life is taken over. I mean, this is a message to a lot of young people as well. I think some of the best work you do as students also is early morning, or if you're a late night person. When there is silence, there is something very precious about silence, and therefore I think book writing is also precious because you can do it in silence. And you're right, say things that you cannot on a TV show. Yeah. Anyone who reads this book will say, you're saying much more than you say in a TV show. That's true. In a TV show, I'm very conscious that viewers are out there and are judging you all the time. In a book, I'm only judging myself. It's me and the book. It's me and my computer. Yeah. And that makes life easier.
Absolutely. You've already answered the question, like, when did you find time to do this? You explained that. Now, in this book, you've talked about the Indian voter, the results of the 2024 election being the Indian voter having had enough of intensely bruising, excoriating, liberty-squashing, one-sided politics. And you also say that you did anticipate Prime Minister Modi adjusting to coalition politics. Some months on now, we're some months from the election results, do you think that there has been a change, or is it back to business as usual?
It's a good question. First of all, let me tell you, before I answer that, I just thought I should say this. This is the most incredible country in the world. Think about it. 100 crore people vote now. Our electorate is 100 crores. That's larger than any other European country. That's 3 times, 4 times the size of the United States population are just voting in India. Just think about all these millions of Indians, poor, rich, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians. This is the one day in the world where Mukesh Ambani and I are the same. Or when Mukesh Ambani and a person living in a chawl in Dharavi has the same rights in India. That's what makes elections so special. I want to say that because I don't think we appreciate sometimes what a wonderfully diverse, unique country you and I live in. This is still the most incredible country in the world. And I think elections show how incredible it is. When the first election was done in 1952, there was an editor, a British editor, who said, one person, one vote, India won't be able to handle it. How will so many ignorant, illiterate people be able to handle voting? I don't know where that English editor is. He must have died and buried. We still conduct one of the world's greatest democratic exercises, and we should be very proud of it. For all of that, it's the one time in the year, I think, where you can express yourself in a really you have a right almost to go out and vote. Indians are enormously proud of their vote. Look at what is happening in neighboring Pakistan. Where you can have an election and the election can be stolen by the army if necessary. And a popular leader can be put in jail. At least we are not that bad. I know that's not
it's cold comfort.
Yeah, it's cold, but it at least is a sign that electoral democracy in India is still, I think, in India, the glass is half full and half empty. So I wanted to make that point as a preface. To answer your question, has anything changed? Look, the truth of the matter is, the BJP is now India's party number 1. Mr. Modi is India's leader number 1. But I do believe, and you're seeing it even in parliament to some extent, you don't have that 400, 400 par or 300 par majority that would allow you to just ramrod legislation. You have to consult. Now is the time of coalition. Look at the Waqf Board bill, or look at one nation, one election. Today you can't just say, one day wake up and say, I'm going to bring in a new farmers law. You will have to consult. And I think that's good. This nation is a coalition. I make the point in the book, this is the most diverse country in the world. And that diversity is what is our strength. So I think that, in a sense, that recognition at least has crept in. You still have a very strongman leader, a strongman party. But somewhere the recognition is that you will also have to take Chandrababu Naidu along. You will also have to take Nitish Kumar along. And that is India. When you just now felicitated me in this uniquely Karnataka way.
Fashion.
I mean, if I go to Tamil Nadu, I'll be felicitated differently. I go to Punjab, it'll be different. Bengal, it'll be different. That is India. How many countries in the world have people speaking so many languages, religions, castes, creeds, but all living together in relative harmony? That is India. So I think the one thing that has changed is the acceptance. India cannot be one nation, one leader, one party, one religion. सबको साथ लेके काम करना पड़ेगा. कभी कभी पप्पी भी देनी पड़ती है इंडिया में काम करने के लिए. You have to talk to people. You can't all the time talk at each other. So I think that, in a sense, is hope, and somewhere that has changed. I think you don't see what we saw in 2019, where legislation was being passed without consultation. There is a lovely word, Maya, in Hindi, which I think is a word that symbolizes this great country called India. And that word is samvad, dialogue. You have your viewpoint, I have my viewpoint. We talk to each other, not at each other. Chalta hai, Indians have this unique ability of embracing, accepting, respecting. And I hope that our politics learns that, because in the last 10 years, we had lost some of that. We had become too much us versus them. There are still people doing that. You are anti-national, you are enemy. Why? That is what makes India different. And that's what I believe this, in a way the election showed.
Yes. Okay.
That's how I see it. I mean, that's the fascination of India. Who would have thought, Maya, that in Ayodhya, where the Ram Mandir was built, the BJP candidate would lose to a Dalit, 78-year-old. I mean, because he also has a constituency. But that is, India is about acceptance of differences and then moving forward while accepting differences.
Accepting differences. You use the phrase, pressing the pause button on damagingly disruptive politics. You do use that phrase also. Now, Rajdeep, you are outspoken, right? I mean, he obviously says what's on his mind. And you've talked to some extent in the book about how difficult it was when that whole sedition case came up. Are you not constantly worried in this current environment as to what the repercussions will be? In this book itself, referring to the Prime Minister, you've used phrases like obsessive self-love, irrational delusions of divinity, self-anointed messenger of God, domineering, narcissistic, and bossy. Do you not feel somebody may come knocking on your door?
Look, I'm going to turn 60 in 4 months. As you get older, I believe I hope get braver. I think older people if you see my earlier books, there was even praise for, there are parts where I pray, Prime Minister Modi, let me be very clear, is a remarkable figure. He's been in politics for 50 years. And it's quite a journey. So at one level, you appreciate that. You look at, what the learnings he's had. He's also come up from the grassroots. Full credit to him. At another level, where the Prime Minister may have gone wrong, I think we must have the courage to say you've gone wrong. It doesn't require much courage to tell the truth. That's my view. I think if you, and in India, what is the worst that can happen to you? I don't think you're thrown in jail. You may not get an interview with the Prime Minister. That's okay. In Pakistan, they throw you into jail. There is a Pakistani friend of mine who says, he doesn't, in Pakistan, because of the role of the army, if he was to criticize, let's say, the army, he could have a bullet through his head. हमारे यहाँ क्या होता है? Some troll will say something about you. You will have some criticism here and there. You may be denied access to those in power. That's okay. You can live with it. I have a Hindi, best way to look at this, to answer your question, is through Hindi music. Zindagi ek safar hai suhana, yahan kal kya ho kisne jana. Who knows what tomorrow brings? Why are we so worried about what will happen today? Who will do what to you? Carry on. Chalta rehta hai zindagi. I still remember January 2020, and there was we were all living a life very different to how life changed by March 2020 with COVID. Whoever had heard of social distancing? One thing COVID should have taught every one of us: live in the moment, don't think about the future. Why worry about what will happen 1 year from now? Enjoy the present. If we can enjoy the present, there is no fear. The fear factor comes when you are too worried what will happen in the future. Having said that, my daughter was very worried about me.
Yes.
And she's a lawyer. So she told me, if there's a sedition case against you, then I can tell Kapil Sibal ji to appear for you. I've worked in his chamber. I said, don't worry, I have his number. I'll call him up. I actually feel I am privileged. I can call up Kapil Sibal. Think about some poor journalist sitting in Chhattisgarh or Jharkhand. Only last month, my young friends, a young journalist in Chhattisgarh, his body was found at the bottom of a well. He had been killed because he had exposed the road contractors in that part of Chhattisgarh. Who is going to speak for him? Which top lawyer will appear for him? I am relatively protected, so I am not fearful. I feel more fearful for young Kashmiri journalists. There are 5 journalists today in jail at the moment. 4 of them are from Kashmir. And they do not have the same protection that you and I have, Maya. So let's not feel sorry for ourselves or feel fearful.
Yeah.
Chalta rehta hai zindagi.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is another day.
But as you mentioned, the Chhattisgarh journalist, it can be worse than trolling. I think we all remember Gauri Lankesh.
That's right.
Who was killed for airing her views. And it's not just Prime Minister Modi. You're very candid in your assessments of several leading politicians. Rahul Gandhi, you talk of being a dreamy idealist who doesn't want to get trapped in the murky world of political power play, and how he resigned at a time when the party needed him the most. You talk of access. Now, these kind of comments must certainly affect your access to people, not just Prime Minister Modi, but people in all the parties, Congress and other parties as well. Doesn't that hurt your career in terms of what you can report?
No,
do you ever want to temper your words?
No, look, as I said, all they can deny is access. But to my mind, real journalism is not about politicians, it's about people. When the people deny me access, I will have a problem. If a politician denies me access, it's okay. During this Maharashtra elections, I was traveling across, it's my home state, and I went to Amravati, which is a district in Maharashtra, which has the unfortunate record of the highest farm suicides in the country, farmer suicides. And I went to a farm widow whose husband had committed suicide because he could not pay a 1 lakh rupee loan. If that lady did not speak to me, I would have a problem. I don't care if a politician doesn't want to speak to me, it doesn't make a difference to my life. I want to hear the voices of the people of India. And I think journalists must listen to people, not to those in power. We should show a mirror to those in power. For Rahul Gandhi, I have said in my previous books, Rahul Gandhi has never missed an opportunity to miss an opportunity. So one of his people rang me up. You have been very harsh on Rahul Gandhi. So I said, what do you want me to do? You want me to be nice on someone who has lost so many elections? तो उसे नहीं पर थोड़ा तो तुम आप कम कर ले तो अच्छा होता. मैंने कहा ये सब तुम PR एजेंसी हायर कर दो. This can be done by PR. Similarly, when Mr. Modi, there was some criticism of his, somebody from his party also said, you are anti-Modi. I said, I'm not. I'm pro-India. There is a difference between being anti-pro a politician and being anti and pro your country. Your country demands that you tell the truth. If 4.5 lakh people have died in COVID, as I say in the book, according to the government, but the World Health Organization says 40 lakh Indians have died, country deserves to know the truth. That is what I'm trying to say. We should all be told the truth. Now, asking those questions does not make you anti or pro-Modi. It makes you pro-India. Every Indian deserves to know how many people died during COVID. Why hide it? So I think, Maya, we have to, I know where you're coming from. I think we in journalism, and you've been there as long as I have, we have to follow politicians. So it's a part of an occupation hazard. But I don't think we should allow the politician to run our lives as journalists. For politicians, we should show the mirror. And the mirror will be good, it will be bad, it will be ugly. And they must be willing to accept all three. Unfortunately, we as a people, all of us, have become more and more intolerant in whatever we do. We don't like criticism. We want everybody to do Jai Jaikar. We have become a nation of sycophants. And India was never that. India is about the argumentative Indian. Indians like to argue. We should remain an arguing people. And you and I should argue without you and I becoming enemies of each other.
Yes.
तुम अपनी बात रखो, मैं अपनी बात रखूंगा, कारवां आगे बढ़ता रहेगा. That is what India is.
Absolutely. You've spoken in the book about the changing face of media and the rise of the YouTuber, the person who is online. The most recent thing, I'm sure many of the young students here get much of their news from YouTubers. What is your take on this recent episode with Beer Biceps, with the mainstream media, of which you are a part, coming down heavily on him? What is your take on the whole episode?
First of all, I had never heard of Beer Biceps. I thought it was a beer ad. And because he had asked me 6 months ago for an interview, and I had said when the book is released, I'll do the interview. And then now he's got himself into trouble. But look, this is part of the problem. We are more interested in beer biceps than interested in that farm widow. How much of our news reports on the real issues of this country? Which Bangalore journalists should be running a 1-year campaign on the roads, please. You should really run a campaign on traffic. Ranveer Ilhabadi, what he said, how he said, what will happen to you, wo chalta rahega. We are more interested at the moment to know are Virat and Anushka Sharma all is well or not. That is only of interest, frankly, to Virat and Anushka Sharma. No harm if you are also interested. But I think of far greater interest is what are issues of public interest in this country, whether it is the state of roads in our cities, whether it is the state of drainage, whether it is the state of farm widows, whether it is the state of education. But I am sorry to say, people want, like gossip, this whole YouTube world is now about how many clicks can I get.
Yes, yes.
So in clicks, you have replaced sense with sensation. Just as news has been replaced by noise, sensation has been replaced by sense. I was on a sabbatical when I heard about Saif Ali Khan being tragically stabbed. But in 10 days, I saw 10 different versions on YouTube. Kisne kiya? Biwi ne kiya? Kisne kiya? Kya hoga? Who did it? 10 different versions with all screaming sensational headlines. कौन घुसा था सलमान सैफ के घर में? I mean, none of it is providing information. None of it is providing knowledge. All of them are trying to titillate and sensationalize that you will click.
Is it just YouTube or is it mainstream media also?
Mainstream media has followed the same rule. Everybody wants TRPs. I tell somebody that one day we will have to do a lungi dance on TV. Like Shah Rukh Khan. Because you want, if somebody, and I even danced at times after elections. So I am part of the problem. But I'm just saying that the day will not be far where we will have to do what Shah Rukh Khan does. Ki lungi dance karo, log aapko dekhenge. So we have converted news which was meant to be knowledge, which was meant to be information, to news which is noise, which is sensation, which is not about information, but just about, creating some curiosity in the audience so the audience can click your video or watch your channel.
Yes.
That's what's happened.
I'll be coming to audience questions very soon, so keep them ready. Just a couple of questions more which I want to ask you. I would describe you as a liberal in your approach, in the way your dreams for India, your maybe nostalgia for what used to be. But you are still a part of English television news in India, which has, to put it mildly, changed dramatically over the decades. How do you balance that? You are part of a system that is showing its bias very strongly right now. How do you maintain your independence?
Look, I believe each one to himself or herself. The world changes. Aap chalte raho. You can be in an audience, you can be in a crowd of one. You must carry on with what you believe in. And I very strongly believe, I said this at the outset, I believe that the genius of India is its diversity. No one has the right to decide who you want to marry, what food you want to eat, where you want to pray, how you want to pray. I will keep saying that. If it makes me anti-national, so be it. I am proud to be the kind of person I am. And I believe my journalism will be factual about what is the hard facts. But I have my opinion, which you are entitled to respect or entitled to disagree with. And you carry on. So the news ecosystem may have a very different view. You can call it bias. They will say, we were biased 20 years ago. I am very happy to do what I am. I want to tell stories increasingly as I get older that affect people. I want to, if possible, tell stories, for example, of the people of Manipur. Now, where is the bias there? People of Manipur have suffered. Both Meiteis and Kukis. I don't know whether there are any people from Manipur in this audience. There must be someone in the college, I'm sure, or the university from Manipur. Now, imagine if 200 people were killed in ethnic violence in any other part of the country. It would make big news. But because Manipur is so far away from the national capital on the periphery of the country, we don't even really understand what's happening there. And to my mind, these are the questions that I really grapple with. How do I put Manipur on the national map? I did a show on Manipur 3 days ago when their chief minister resigned. Somebody in my newsroom told me, Rajdeep, so boring, yeah, about Manipur. Who is interested in Manipur? So I said, madam, you may not be interested in Manipur. There may be many people in this newsroom who are not interested in Manipur. But last I know, Manipur is a state of this country called India. And so long as it is part of this country called India, it must have the same right a Manipuri must have as someone from any other corner of India. And this is a big problem, Maya. The real problem of news, most news headquarters are located in Delhi. Even South India gets ignored. I remember I was covering the Chennai floods some years ago. And someone jokingly said, Arey Rajdeep, you have come to Chennai. How come suddenly you discovered Tamil Nadu? I said, that's because the water has reached Jayalalitha's house. But that is what is happening. We don't cover South India with the same effectiveness. In my home state of Maharashtra, when I was on sabbatical, there was a terrible incident where a sarpanch's eyes were removed. And he was killed brutally by someone reportedly, allegedly close to the minister there. How many of you have read that story? How many of you have seen it in headlines in newspapers or news channels? Is that person not entitled to justice? Because he lives in a small district called Bede. Therefore, it does not make headlines. So beyond this left versus right, liberal versus right, I think those are not the issue. Issue is to tell stories of a country of 1.4 billion Indians, each one of whom he or she has the right for justice, for her story or his story to be told effectively. Does it take the rape and murder of a young woman tragically in Delhi more than 10 years ago for all of us to wake up to crimes against women? Does a woman in Chhattisgarh or a woman in Jharkhand who gets brutally raped and murdered not have the same right for justice, her family? That is the story to be told. I don't know how we can do it. Maybe Presidency University and the Chancellor will decide, okay, next I'm going to build India's first genuine national channel. I have been trying to tell someone has to take the challenge.
Do it, Rajdeep.
No, I don't know how. See, we have 700. No, Maya, it may well happen, but we have 730 districts in India and counting, 734, I think. How am I going to tell a story of a country with 734 districts?
Yes.
Is, I think, the challenge for all journalists. How it's going to be told, maybe in the age of AI, you can do, it might become easier. You just have reporters in every district of the country and you can translate into different languages. But this is the real challenge, not this left versus right battle. Wo to chalta rahega. The real battle is how do we cover a subcontinent-sized country with honesty and integrity?
Absolutely. One final question which I'm asking, because I think many people are curious about it, and because both you and I spend much of our professional life in NDTV. You have covered a little bit. Your thoughts on what has happened, the takeover of NDTV, and the loss of the institution where we started out, really.
You know, there is a chapter in this book on the media. 14th chapter is on the media. A lot of people are reading that chapter first and the rest of the book. Of course,
I did too.
But look, maybe there is a need for another book. But I do feel sorry for what happened to NDTV. And I wrote about the story because I believe every Indian must know. Again, it is about only every Indian must know. Please think about it. Many people in this audience may not know, so I just want to slightly recap the story. Both Maya and I worked in NDTV, New Delhi Television, which was one of the first private TV networks to start in India in the 1990s. Started by a wonderful husband-wife team of Pranoy Roy and Radhika Roy. Real pioneers. In 2017-2018, Pranoy Roy and Radhika Roy were charged with various financial crimes, if I may use the word, by the Enforcement Directorate, by the CBI. In 2018, I think, when Pranoy Roy was leaving for abroad with his wife to celebrate his wife's 70th birthday, he was stopped at the airport and said, there is a lookout notice or you're not allowed to leave the country. His passport, I think, was impounded. and he was not allowed to leave the country. CBI investigation, ED investigation carried out against him. A few years later, I met the immigration official. Purely by chance, I was sitting next to him in the flight. I didn't know who he was. He turned to me and he said, "Sir, you are the person from NDTV." I said, "Yes." "Sir, I want to tell you one thing today. You know, I was the immigration official who stopped Prannoy Roy from flying out. Sir, it is not my fault. My children are here. I swear on them. I only did it because I had orders from above." I said, "Okay." CBI investigation, ED investigation, despite that carried on. In 2023 or 2022, Prannoy Roy and Radhika Roy found that their company was being taken over by the one Indian who seems to take over everything, Gautam Adani. 2 months ago, CBI and ED went to the High Court and said, "We have no evidence against Prannoy Roy and Radhika Roy. They have done no financial crime. We want the case closed." For 7 years, you hounded them, impounded passport, took away their right to go out of the country. Their company is taken over. And now you are saying, "We have no evidence." In India, my friends, sometimes the process is the punishment. And if that happens to a big channel like NDTV, think about a small channel which has less resources. I know young journalists working in a small digital channel. Their cell phones were taken. News click. Their laptops were taken at 6:30 in the morning, including interns. Why should that happen to them? And should we not speak up? And if I speak up, am I doing something anti-national? And I mention in the book, N. Ram, who's the editor of The Hindu, met the Prime Minister and said, "Sir, why are you hounding NDTV? Why are you trying to finish them?" And the Prime Minister turned back and said, "Finished? Wo to khatam hi ho gaye." Now, if I say the story, I have given what he has said. Am I not to say it? Should I, as a media person, not raise my voice? So I think the media story is an important story in India. Because if you want to be a democracy, one of the prerequisites of democracy is that journalists should be able to report without fear. And that, according to me, is something that should separate India from many of our neighboring countries. I know I compared India to Pakistan, but it is a bad comparison. We do not want to be, we are way above, let us not compare ourselves to Pakistan. Let us compare ourselves to as many of the better democracies in the world. Let us not say but China mein to freedom nahi hai. Really, do you want to compare yourself to China on freedom? So I think the media chapter is very personal. And I think it's, maybe there's another book which you or someone else can write on the media one day. I'm scared, I guess. Ab ho gaya. But maybe one day when I've retired, I can write openly on that also. But I hope that all of us realize that, to build a better India is the task of each and every one of us. And we should feel strongly about these issues. Let us not only believe that democracy is about casting your vote every 5 years. You and I, every one of us should be conscious of our responsibility. So if our politician promises us good roads in Bengaluru and does not deliver on them, we should have some right to protest. We should actually have, according to me, a right to recall. If an MP, MLA does not perform halfway through his term, I should have the right to recall him or her. Why can't we put some fear in them? They put so much of fear in us. I should also have the opportunity to say, "You have not performed, I will recall you." And they must be also invited once a year, every year, to meet their voters. Whether it is in Nukkad Sabha, whatever it is, they should have. In fact, our Lok Sabha constituencies are very large. I think North Bangalore is almost 30 lakh voters. We should have smaller constituencies where every MLA or MP is responsible to the people. In India, the politicians are not the rulers. We, the people, are the rulers. That's why in this book, I have put on the cover the photograph, Maya, of a voter. And the voter, interestingly, is a woman. Because I believe the real power in India in the future is in the hands of women. For too long, honestly, for too long, we have kept 50% of India out of power. When I joined journalism, you were joined at the same time. I don't know your experience. I was in a newsroom, there were 100 men and 4 or 5 women. And we used to look at them almost as if, what are they doing in this all-male newsroom? Today, I'm happy to see in your university, in your teaching faculty, there must be as many women as men. And I'm sure women make better teachers than men. Women make better students than men. They certainly make better journalists than men. Honestly, this country's future lies in empowering women. A Viksit Bharat will be built through education, have many more presidency universities, have many more good schools, and it will be built from empowering women. You empower women in India, nothing can stop this country in the future.
Absolutely.
That's my view. But, again, someone else may have a very differing view to that.
Well, I agree. And you'll find that in his book, despite everything he's seen at close quarters, Rajdeep is an optimist. You have many notes of hope in this book as well.
Yes. Actually that, Maya, is maybe a good point on which I want to sort of conclude in a way my submission. We only look at the negatives in India, especially journalists. There are lots of stories of hope. I tell 10 stories of hope in the book, including of this remarkable woman, lots of remarkable people, but there are lots of them. There is this young woman called Sanjana Jatav. She's a Dalit mother of 2. She defeated the chief minister's candidate in Rajasthan in Bharatpur. Her husband is a sub-inspector, a constable. He got a call from the chief minister's office saying, your wife contests again in this election, you will lose your job. That young man, he's a constable in the police, said, sir, आपने मुझे एक तरह से धमकी दी है, अब मेरी बीवी जरूर लड़ेगी. She fought and won the election with no money, but with the grit and the power that she wanted to make a difference. That is India. This is a great story of hope.
Fantastic.
And there are many others. Ikra Hassan, studying to do her PhD, came back and actually fought from Kerala, went door to door. Young Muslim woman, won in a Hindu-dominated constituency, which had been ripped apart by communal violence only 10 years ago. She fought. That's what makes India still a great country.
Yes.
There are so many hopeful stories. That's why India is not Pakistan. In Pakistan, the same 100 families still dominate politics. In India, lots of new forces are also emerging. There are lots of Ikra Hassans, lots of Sanjana Jatavs, I hope, who will emerge in the future. And that is what gives me hope in India. Even in your own Bengaluru, D.K. Suresh was a very powerful leader, lost. You never know when the Janta turns against you.
Yes.
And today in the age of Instagram, this Sanjana Jatavs, I asked her, how did you campaign? She said, sir, मैंने तो Instagram में अपने post बना लिए. And she became an Instagram sensation in Bharatpur because everybody is watching Instagram now. Whether you are in Bharatpur in a small village or whether you are in Bengaluru. So there are possibilities. India still provides, this is a land of great opportunity. And because it's a young audience, I thought I should say that. Never lose hope in India.
Yes.
Never
Absolutely.
lose hope in a better tomorrow. You are the lucky generation. I'm sure you will build a better tomorrow than your parents did. Your parents have only one ambition, that your India is better than theirs. This is the most aspirational society in the world. Every Indian wants his or her daughter or son to have a better life than he or she had. And they will make huge sacrifices for that. All we need is equality of opportunity. Unfortunately, our system doesn't allow that. That is the weakness in our system. So for now, Sanjana Jatavs and other are exceptions.
Yes.
I hope one day comes when they become the rule, that you win an election because you are meritorious, not because of which family you come from. And one day, I'm sure a lot of young people in their own way, in different forms, you don't have to join politics, you will be leaders in your field and you will make your parents very proud. Yes. All your parents want, I'm sure when they've sent you to Presidency University, is that they want you to be better, have better opportunities than they had. Always remember that and always keep the hope alive.
Absolutely. Yes. Now, questions. We have some time for questions, I hope, Rajdeep?
Yeah.
Questions from you. Who would like to ask? Yes, do we have a mic here? Yes.
10 minutes of questions?
Sure.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Good evening. I'm Dia Patel from Media Studies Department,
Which part of the country are you from?
Gujarat.
Very good.
So my question to you is that, are there any anecdotes or stories from the book that you have written that you're particularly fond of or that were especially difficult for you to write about?
See, you're from Gujarat, so I should be careful. But I am born in Gujarat, in Ahmedabad, so I won't be careful. But I'll tell you a story which is, I think, a real story of India. I tell the story of how Amit Shah won his first ever election.
That was...
He won his first ever election as a student politician. It was a class or college election. Half the electorate almost in that class were women and half were men. This is in the 1980s. And the candidate against him was a woman. So Amit Shah's team was worried that all the women will vote for one side. Then even if 10 men vote the other way, he will lose. So they thought of something, how to defeat a woman candidate. So they found out all the numbers, phone numbers as well as the addresses of all the women in the college, and either rang them up or sent them chittis. This is before mobile age. Since you are Gujarati, you will know. તમે આપણા દીકરીને કાલે કોલેજમાં don't let them come to college tomorrow. There will be tufan in the college. There's going to be violence. Please don't send your daughters to the college. The elections are going to be very violent. As a result, out of the 50 girls, 30 did not land up. Amit Shah won by 10 votes. So what Amit Shah has mastered today, he learnt in Gujarat all those years ago. How to manage an election. So that is a story. I was very worried that Amit Bhai would deny the story. So one of his guys told me, तुम्हारी story सही है? मैंने कहा, sir, आप अमित भाई को पूछिए. As it turned out, Amit Bhai told him, हाँ वो हुआ था, लेकिन अब क्या है, वो तो बहुत साल पहले हुआ था. So the story is not wrong, but you know, in everything in life we learn it at a young age. So that's the story.
The child is the father of the man.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Hello, sir. My name is Varun. I am pursuing my MBA. So I'm just curious
Which
to
part
know...
of the India are you from?
Bangalore.
Okay.
So I'm just curious to know, how have your views changed as an author and a political analyst from when you wrote How Modi Won India in 2019 to now 2024, the election that surprised India? And also, how has your approach to analyzing the Indian elections evolved over the years?
That's a good question. You know, How Modi Won India was Mr. Modi's peak election. And therefore, if you see the book, it's much more about how Mr. Modi has captured the imagination of so many Indians. I think in the last 5 years, I have seen worrying signs of some form of one-man rule. And therefore, this book is a little bit more critical. So that's one evolution. I worry about elections only in the context that there is no level playing field, especially money power. As I mentioned, you can have the Sanjana Jatav who may win, but most candidates who are winning today are crorepati several times over. And cash is now king in elections. I was in Telangana, in Hyderabad a couple of weeks ago, and someone who's been a politician there, we were having lunch, and he just mentioned casually, you know, in the last election, Mr. Sardesai, I spent 75 crores for MLA. So I said, you spent 75 crores? He said, yes, but I didn't win. I said, why? He said, my rival spent 100. Now, I don't know whether the numbers are true, false, but the very fact people are talking in these numbers, 75 crores, 100 crores for an MLA, that is what worries me. So when you say, what is my worry for elections, it's become a paise ka khel. And that is not good for democracy, because when I spend 100 crores to get elected, I want 200 crores back. And that is happening in your state also. And that is one of the problems in Karnataka at the moment. That politicians, there's too much of money in politics. And that is very, very worrying. So that is how my views have changed slightly. I hope something can be done to curb the influence of money power in elections.
think we have time for a couple more questions. Yes, this young lady here.
Good evening, sir. This side Shantwana from Media Studies.
Which part of India are you from?
I'm basically from Andhra Pradesh.
Very nice.
Yeah. So, sir, as an aspiring journalist, I really want to know that how you handle controversies, criticism as a journalist. And it'll be great if you give some of the tips to us.
Ma'am, what do I say? Someone once told me, like me, hate me, don't be indifferent to me. So controversy bhi chalta hai aajkal. But my way of handling controversy is to watch cricket. When I watch India playing cricket, my mind goes off all these controversies. Or listening to Kishore Kumar's music. I have all Kishore Kumar songs. And now with YouTube, you can just put the name of the song and the song comes. There's something lovely about music and sport that takes me out of all these worries. I sometimes say this to audiences like this, that one of the great joys of cricket is that it is truly meritocratic. My father was a test cricketer for India. He's the only test cricketer to have played for India who was born in Goa. That too in Portuguese ruled Goa. Played for India for 12 years. Had never seen a cricket pitch till he was 17. And played for India at 21 because he had talent. I wanted to desperately play for India, but I didn't have the talent. My father would tell me, in cricket, you will have to go on the pitch and score the runs. So a politician's son and daughter can be a politician. A film star's son and daughter can be a film star. Businessmen's children can be what their father or mother do. In sport, that doesn't happen. The reason, I'm giving you a long answer to a very different question, but I just think we should know this. So, for example, when a Mohammad Shami is bowling from one end and a Umesh Yadav from the other, we don't think of them as a Muslim and a Yadav. We think of them as two proud Indians playing for India. Put them into politics and you'll say, "Arey, ye to Muslim vote bank hai, ye Yadav vote bank hai." So, the point I'm trying to make is, I think, if you look at sport, enjoy music, enjoy cinema, they take your mind off these controversies. Journalists must have a life outside journalism. Bottom line. And in any profession, I think all of us, whatever profession we follow, we should have one passion outside it. Completely different from our profession. Mine is collecting old Kishore Kumar songs. I used to look for it. I went looking for his house once in Khandwa, where he was born. And I was just like a little boy who was just so excited. And his house is very rundown in the middle of Madhya Pradesh. So I went and told one bureaucrat, I said, "Yaar, yahan to kam se kam ek Kishore Kumar ka museum to acha banao. And let all the Kishore Kumar fans come once a year and have a music festival here." I believe the Madhya Pradesh government is planning something, but in India there's a big difference between planning and execution when it comes to government. So hopefully one day someone will plan and execute a nice Kishore Kumar museum and song. So always have, my tip to you, have one passion other than media studies. Something you enjoy, whatever it is.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Time for one more?
Yes.
Yes, over there.
Good evening, sir, and good evening, ma'am. Sir, I have two questions for you today.
Ask one.
Okay, sir.
What's your name?
Angelina,
From where?
from Media Studies, from Kerala.
Okay, very good.
Sir, what do you think that can be the significant challenges when it comes to the Indian politics in the upcoming decades? And how do journalists, as well as the other media outlets, contribute towards being more informed as well as an informed citizenry?
Ma'am, the biggest challenge I think is how do you end misinformation and disinformation? We have created a WhatsApp university. Just as there is Presidency University, there's a WhatsApp university. You have 19,600 students or 800, they have millions. And they are having a huge impact on people's lives. You will be surprised, one day before the Maharashtra elections, an aunt of mine sent me an urgent message. "Rajdeep, how come you are not covering a big news I have just seen?" So I said, "What is the news?" Waqf board is going to take over the Siddhi Vinayak temple. So I said, where have you seen this? No, mala aata WhatsApp. I've got a WhatsApp. So I said, have you checked? No, video is coming, video. She's 65, she was a retired bank employee. I said, madam, first of all, why are you watching so much of WhatsApp? She said, no, I am retired, I have a lot of time. So I said, you must stop now. Now the big challenge is, look at the misinformation. Look at the number of people who must have received that WhatsApp, the impact on their minds. So I think the big challenge for journalists is how do you become fact checkers? How do you check misinformation? And it's only going to grow with AI. The other day, someone showed me a video of mine talking to Narayan Murthy and Rishi Sunak about how you can earn 1 lakh a day in India. It is entirely in my voice, it is Narayan Murthy's voice, it is Mr. Sunak's voice with our faces. One of my other aunts rang me up, Rajdeep, you never told me this secret. I said, what secret? No, you are showing how you can earn 1 lakh rupees a day. Totally false video. Now, who's going to correct it? So the real challenge, young lady, is for journalists, is how do you correct fake? I think if any of you want a business model, a good business model is to set up India's best fact checker. If you can set up a wonderful fact checker in real time, there's a huge business opportunity. Everyone will come to it. So you have a chance to do that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Rajdeep. I'm sure there are many, many more questions. And I think you'll find lots of answers to those questions in this book. It was wonderful chatting to you today, Rajdeep. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maya, and thank you everybody for listening. Thank you.
And I'm sure we have lots of takeaways here. And we now are actually waiting for something. I mean, I'm sure our students are waiting for something for a very long time, which is about the book signing. They will come with their personal copy, and they would be delighted and honored if you could sign their books. And I would also invite Dr. Nafisa Ahmed to please preside over the book signing session.
Thank you so much, Maya. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a very big hand to my moderator.
And of course, now I request our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. Nisar Ahmed, to kindly come forward on stage for a book signature. I also request Mr. Iqbal to join. The chairman of Little Flower Public School to join the stage. Mr. Iqbal, kindly come forward. Yes. Thank you, sir. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause now. Oh. Mr. Iqbal here, the chairman of Little Flower Public School.
And so, as we close this wonderful evening celebrating Rajdeep Sir's latest work, I hope you all agree with me that 2024, the elections that surprised India, is not just a book. It's a vital conversation starter. It's a mirror reflecting complexities and nuances of our democracy. It's a challenge for each of us to be more informed, more engaged, and more thoughtful about the future that we want to create. With Rajdeep Sir's insightful analysis, his unflinching commitment to truth, and his ability to weave a compelling narrative, this book stands as an invaluable contribution to our understanding of Indian politics. This book will stay with you long after you have turned its final page, prompting reflection and discussion. I sincerely hope that this book finds its way in the hands of every citizen who care about the direction of our nation. This book deserves to be read, debated, and discussed because ultimately it's through these conversations and through these grappling issues that Rajdeep sir has raised that we can strengthen our democracy and make a brighter future for India. Now, I would like to thank Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai for being with us here today and allowing us to be a part of his journey. A big thanks to the press community people for covering the whole event for us. And a thank you to one and all present here. With this, I would like to encourage you all to pick a copy of this book, engage with its ideas, and continue the conversation. Thank you once again, and have a good evening. With this, I would also like to request you all to be seated until and unless the guest leaves. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Once again, it's been a delight and an honor. I request the audience to be seated, please. You can leave the auditorium once the guests leaves the auditorium. Please be seated. The students can disperse. Please maintain a line when you do so.